Particularly appreciate your brevity. Now we'd like to welcome one of Peter's many, many friends, George Khouri.
There's really nothing left to say. That's never stopped me before. So, I want to thank you, Judy, especially for giving me my catharsis to allow me to speak about my friend. By the way, the PAR 57, I can't remember who of you that said that. That was Peter's license plate. It didn't stand for PAR. It stood for Peter Americo Rizzi. My relationship with Pete began as neighbors and grew into a lifelong friendship. I first met Pete when my wife and I moved into our first home in Dedham in 1967. And one day I was in the backyard surveying my domain as a new member of the landed gentry. And I started seeing these little white wiffle balls come over the fence. And I couldn't throw them back as fast as they came at me. So I went over to the fence, I peeked over, and I said, "Neighbor, I think you've got a little too much club." Golf was the spark of our relationship, but it was his mind that was the eternal flame between us, and that is not speaking in the extreme. That is a fact. Pete, I soon saw, was a true Renaissance man. Our bond was strengthened through the years with our common tastes, although, quite frankly, he took those tastes far higher level than I could ever dream of. When I refer to Pete as a Renaissance man, I mean it in a true definition of the word. As a golfer, as a softball player, as a teacher, as a writer, as a superb, groundbreaking physical scientist, and I underline that with emphasis. He took each one of those pursuits to the paragon. Of course, any mention of Pete, and his family would know this, would have to include his love for opera. Here I stress, he was a fan only because he couldn't sing worth a damn. But symphonies would play in his head constantly. On Saturday mornings, the three of us, Don and Tony and myself, would be waiting in the parking lot to complete our foursome, and we could hear him coming 2 blocks away. His window was open and there was an operatic aria blasting out of his car at 6 o'clock in the morning. He probably woke up every neighbor around the golf club. As I said, golf was our spark, but it was also the vehicle through which we were sure to cement our relationship. Just as a side note, it's very difficult of me not to talk in superlatives when I speak of Peter, and very often when you hear that, when people speak of superlatives, that's not really genuine. It is very genuine. I can't speak in a high enough superlative to describe my relationship with Peter, my feeling for him, my love for him. Although golf was our spark, it was also the vehicle through which we cemented our friendship. You know, there's a lot of time, if you play golf, there's a lot of time between shots. And for me, he would fill that time with a wit and a wisdom, with laughter and appreciation for the beauty of this world. I could never beat him at golf, even when he was in his 80s, even though I had 10 years on him. Do you have any idea how frustrating that is? He could remember a shot he took 10 years before, and he could remember why he did it. And I couldn't even remember my score on the previous hole. Although that's probably because I didn't want to. In softball, he could throw a pitch so fast I couldn't even get the bat off my shoulders, literally. And with all of his accomplishments, this is his greatest character. He would never impose his intellect on those around him, ever. He was just Pete, and that was his magnificent humanity. You know, just a side note, everywhere he went, he would often shop for golf shirts. He must have had, I don't know, 100, 200 golf shirts. And they had to have a pocket right here. And if he liked the shirt that didn't have a pocket and it was long enough, he bought it. Give it to Judy. She cut out the bottom and sewed the pocket. Now, who does that? We played every Saturday morning in the same foursome for almost 40 years. My cousin Don Khouri and me, and Pete, and Tony Redine, his Providence buddy of, it's got to be 80 years, Tony, at least. 3 of the 4 are here tonight, and the other one is looking down on us. Tony was as much a brother of Pete as a friend. You could feel it when we were all together. 4 guys from the opposite shores of the Mediterranean, 2 Italian Americans and 2 Syrian Americans. I don't need to expound on his reputation as a teacher and a writer. You've heard that far more articulately than I could. But in his writings, I have to say that our foursome were in his book, Microwave Engineering. And if you have the book and you read the dedication, it said, this book is dedicated to my golfing buddies, without whose help this book would have been finished 5 years sooner. There's a quote from Abraham Lincoln that so perfectly personifies Peter and his approach to life. It reads, in the end, it's not the years in your life, it's the life in your years that count. I will miss you, my friend, more than you could ever know. Rest in peace and go with God. He's waiting for you on the first tee. Thank you.